All right, this video is just going to recap some of the work that we did trying to figure out the form of a night in Tunisia and some of the strategies we had to make improvising on it a little bit simpler so we can, play some music on this thing. So the first thing we need to remember about the tune is the way it's broken down, and everything comes down to 8-bar sections. If you remember the work we did, we really spent a lot of time looking at things 8 bars at a time, and it's important to start to be able to hear those 8 bars, anytime you're playing this tune. So to recap, we figured out that the tune kind of had 2 sections. We had an A section and a B section, and they were kind of arranged in a certain way. So if we're thinking of the melody, the A section kind of goes like this. Ba-da-ba-da-dee, ba-boo-da, ba-da-ba-da-dee, da-ba, ba-da-ba-da-dee, da-boo-da, da-ba-da-ba-da-boo-da. And we figured out that that chunk of the melody goes for 8 bars. And as we figured out as well that we were kind of moving between E flat and D. E flat and D. Now, if we think of the tune as a whole, after one chunk of that melody of the A, we realized that if we listen to the tune, it repeats. So we play 8 bars of that melody, and we do that same 8 bars all over again here. After we do that, those 2 8-bar A sections, we come up to some new material. And it sounds like this. Ba be ba ba do be da ba 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 do ba da. Beep beep ba ba do be da da ba da da da. Something like that. And that's the B section, or the bridge, and that's the part that happens after we have these 2 A sections, and that's where we have a bit of different material that we're going to be using in terms of what notes we're going to be improvising off of. And then finally, after that bridge, we go back to that material that's a little bit familiar for that last 8 bars of A section, right? The ba-da-ba-da-dee, da-boo-da, ba-do-ba-da-dee, da-ba, ba-do-ba-da-dee, da-boo-da, da-ba-da-ba-da-boo-da. So that's the roadmap of the tune. And what's really cool is if you even just go find a recording of that tune, played by pretty much anyone, you're going to hear that form, both in the melody when they get to it and when they're improvising. So that, again, sums up kind of the whole big roadmap we're working on. All right, so now that we've kind of got the form of the tune figured out, let's take a look at each section in a little more detail and recap on some of the notes that we kind of figured out would work and the patterns that we can kind of base our improvisations off of. So if you remember the A section, we kind of had 2 different chords. We had E flat, major, and D minor. And we came to the conclusion that the first and third note kind of each scale is what gives us a lot of information and what makes it sound clear that we know where we are. So to recap, when we're thinking about playing over the E flat, or the first bar of the pattern, we were thinking of the notes, and again, I'm talking in concert here, E flat and G, all right? E flat, G, and then when we looked at the D minor, we were thinking of D and F. D and F were kind of what we used to work our way through that phrase, right? So again, over the E flat here, we've got E flat, G, and over the D minor, D and F. And again, you don't have to play both notes. You can only play one note. The very first thing we did was just play on one note. So again, that's kind of what we're going to be using on the A section as we move between those 2 chords. And we're thinking of doing stuff that's really simple and rhythmic and stuff that people can copy. And so that already gets us through 75% of the tune, because if you think about it, this tune is A, B, A. So 3/4 of this whole tune are just those 2 patterns, or those 2 sets of notes going back and forth. All right, now let's talk about the bridge here, the B section. Now, we figured out that the B section, just like the other sections, is 8 bars long, and that we have kind of 2 bars of each chord and we figured out that there was kind of one note over each 2 bars that would kind of lead us to the next section, so it gives us something to work with. So over the D flat section, we were thinking that over those 2 bars, and we kind of all did this when we had a chance to practice it, we realized that the note E flat concert got us through those 2 bars. And then when we got to the G minor section, we realized that the note D would get us through those bars. Then we're getting to bar 5 of the bridge, the C section, or the C7 chord. We had the note D, and then finally we come to the note, the last 2 bars, which is the chord F, and we come to the note C there. Now the thing is, you might see if you're looking at your music that there's more chords happening, that there's almost 1 chord for every bar here, if you were to look at the bridge section of your piece. What we've done again is simplify things. So if you're in the rhythm section, you can get away with playing what's on the page, but it would also be helpful if you could play through these kind of simpler changes. And if you're a horn player or someone who's taken a solo, remember that these notes, if you think of them as happening 2 bars at a time, will get you through that section. All right? So there's all the information you need that basically recaps what we talked about. And now the best thing that we can do now is you're going to have a link to another video, which is basically a few times through the form. You're going to actually hear the chords being played, and you can see if you can put everything into practice, so that when you end up playing with each other, you'll know where you are and you'll be able to make some musical fun solos happen. All right, happy practicing. Best of luck.